After mixing part A and part B with the white metallic powder, I poured it on to the MDF board that I have here and then started rolling it out. I rolled very lightly just to get the epoxy to move and spread it out on the whole board, and then I went around the edges and made sure that the epoxy started to flow over those edges and cover the edges completely, and then rolled the edges as well. After all the epoxy was on, I let it set for a few minutes and then took a torch over it, all of it, to get all the air bubbles out. I then came in with some gray spray paint. I wanted to give my veins a little bit more dimension by adding in some underlayment for this gray. And I started off pretty light with the spray paint. I think I could have gone darker, and so I'll come back through later on and I'll make some of those darker, but I do really like how this added the depth to it. I then sprayed a metallic silver over the entire board. I'm not sure this really did much, but it did kind of give it a little extra sparkle, so I liked that about it. And here you can see I came in with some more gray and made the veins a little darker, which I really liked. I then started mixing the gray epoxy for the veins. I used a silver metallic. While this was mixing, the epoxy has to mix for 3 to 5 minutes. We did about 5 minutes just to make sure it was mixed good enough. But I came back in with the torch and I torched it again just to make sure any of the air bubbles were out. And then I started with the veins. I started on the little ones first. I used the paint stick for the little ones just so I could get a more accurate and smaller vein on the smaller ones. And then for these larger veins, I came in and I poured the epoxy on. I probably could have poured the epoxy for all of them, but with it being my first time, I wasn't exactly sure how everything would go, so I used both methods. I then came in with the silver metallic spray paint, and I used the edge of the paint stick, get the really skinny veins that are in here. This worked really good. I really liked how these turned out. As the epoxy kind of dried and, well, before it even dried, as the epoxy was oozing over the edges, I guess, it kind of pulled those paint veins apart. So the next time I do this, I want to wait for the epoxy to kind of set up a little bit more before I put those paint veins in, so the paint doesn't come apart. But here is what the epoxy looks like after I had finished all of my veining and I thought I was completely done. This is what it looked like, and I was super happy with the way this was looking. I did end up coming back and spraying isopropyl alcohol and the epoxy color, the gray color. If you spray that on, and it makes these bubbles or these white splotches that you see in the picture here, and I do like how it turned out. Actually, I love the finished product. I would like to allow you guys to enjoy some little ASMR as the epoxy completely dried on the plastic here. It pulls off so easily, and it comes off of the buckets easily as well. So I'll stop talking and let you listen to the rest of this if you want. Thank y'all.